Hey everyone, can you believe it? It's the last day of 2023 here for just a couple more days. And before we go back to Beirut, I wanted to show you a little bit about what you've accomplished this year. Grab a coffee or something and just relax with me and hear a little bit about how God has done no small dreams in 2023 for Club 1040. But this year's been a surprise year of just seeing things that are kind of been like delayed dreams coming to pass. We had been using a 12-foot by 14-foot office space for Club 1040. We'd been using that space for about 12 years. And we had like 4 or 5 people packed in there. We had things stored all over the place. And all that has happened over these many years has been from that little U.S. headquarters. It's crazy what God's done. And we did that in part because a generous partner had provided that space free of charge, and we want to make sure as much of the donations that come into Club 1040 go towards the work of the ministry and as little go toward overhead as possible. So we've always been very, very wise and very careful about that. Last year, a partner enabled us to buy a piece of property at the beginning of the year. And we thought this is the beginning of realizing this dream of maybe building a place. We started looking into it, and the expense of building out something, completely new was just astronomical with all the inflation and everything. And so we thought, well, we really felt like the Lord asked, led us to buy that, and we're kind of wondering about it. But here's the good news. Is at the beginning of this year, 2023, a year of no small dreams, a year when the Lord said that there would be multiplication of ministries, of teams, and of resources. That property sold. And when that property sold, it enabled us to be able to get this property here where there was this shop, this kind of barn. It's about 50 feet deep and about 25 feet wide. And so that we completed on the purchase of that early in the year, and we started working on plans and then got planning permission. And we broke ground in late summer. It was a little bit rainy there for a little while, so we couldn't put the foundations in quite like we wanted to. But literally in the last 6 weeks, all that you see behind me has taken place. We've gone from just a footing to complete foundations to walls to roof. The windows are just to my side over here, being ready to be going to put in, and then we put siding on and all that. So, this is a realization of a dream. And as that was happening throughout the year, other things took place, things that we'd been passionate about and wanted to see come to pass. Like one of those is ECFA. That criteria that says that, you've met all the criteria to be a ministry of excellence and of accountability financially and otherwise, that gives partners that little extra bit of comfort. And some trusts and organizations, they cannot give unless organization is an ECFA approved organization. And that's something I've wanted to see happen for years. And our team got it together last year, and we've got approved. I think it was literally on like January 2nd or something like that. It was amazing of this year. It's like the year began with putting an offer on this property, getting it accepted, ECFA approval. We had been approved just a little bit before that for the Bible College to launch in Beirut. So we started the year just excited. And ministry-wise, things were ramping up in Turkey from the previous success of the previous year with the big conference that had happened there and our partnership development there. And we were excited about that. We were about ready to launch a new initiative there when the earthquake hit in February 6th. It's hard to remember that this year, is a year of no small dreams, and God is multiplying in ministries and teams and resources. There's also been some challenges, and one of those has been this horrific earthquake that's estimated hundreds and hundreds of thousands. It might have been the greatest loss in modern day history from a natural disaster of greatest loss of life. And, we're literally tens of thousands of buildings collapsed, in which some of those buildings had, 1,000 people living in them. And so we pivoted everything, put everything on pause in February, and we started really making it available to you, our partners, to connect with a rapid response in the crisis. And because of your incredible generosity, within about 6 weeks, More than $150,000, getting close to $200,000 came in, allowed us to relocate our teams and the people on the ground and the wider church family and people that we worked with to places of safety. And there was some expense involved with that. It allowed us to send in 2 quick mobile teams that were buying resources in places that were unaffected and getting them out to people, which enabled us to, you as partners, that enabled us to, on your behalf, minister to over 1,500 people that could not be relocated. They were displaced people, but they couldn't be relocated to other places. That means, clothing for 1,500 people. A bunch of those people were fed meals and given provisions that they wouldn't have had access to otherwise. Things like heating gas, cooking gas, things like that, because the whole infrastructure was completely gone. And then we pivoted as we went into later in the year, March and April, and we pivoted to kind of that rebuild Turkey, and that ended with a big event that enabled, now there's like $361,000 in this Rebuild Turkey fund that enables us, now we're looking for property, and as we go through the months and over the next year or two, we'll see that materialize into a venue that can be used for the spreading of the gospel full time in that country. So we took the crisis. Because of your generosity, we're able to not only respond in the immediate need, but then turn it around for even greater good and expansion and spreading further. So all that's happening. Whew, that's a lot. In parallel to that, we also, in February, March, released an advertisement for a new team member for here in the U.S. Julie and I were so busy overseas, and it had been a while since we had someone really leading the team in the U.S. Julie was doing it from a distance. And we were blessed with Christy Wicks, who came on in May, June. So we had that time of, you don't just advertise and then hire somebody. You advertise, and then we had a lot of applicants, and then we went through those lists. We shortlisted people. Our team did all of that during that time. And the reason I'm sharing all this, kind of pulling back the curtain a little bit, is because this has been a year of no small dreams. I mean, having Christy Wicks, who's the mother of our daughter in love, Michelle Beamer, and she's was released so graciously and kindly from Rainbow Bible Training College, as she was the recruiter there for a number of years and did a phenomenal job. Talked to the leadership there at Advance, and then they said, yes, that would be great. And we worked together to have a smooth transition there, make sure they were taken care of, and she joined the team here. So in June, she hit the ground running, and she just has celebrated 6 months, and we're starting to really get up to speed. We've implemented new systems. We're having a lot of training take place with our U.S. team, especially the Dream Team, the volunteer team members. Everybody is going through this improving our ability and our skills to be able to be better communicators and connectors with our friends, families, and partners around the world. So, I mean, that's just in the first couple of months. Parallel to all that happening, we're building team for the launch of the Bible College in Beirut, Lebanon. So, it's amazing, and people say, how do you guys do all the stuff that you do? Well, truthfully, it's because of amazing team members everywhere. People like Matt and Julie Hadabah and the team in Lebanon, people like Chance and Miranda Lester, who joined the team in the last 6 months or so, last year or so. And then wherever we go, that's what we do. We endeavor to, we just believe that God will bring us the best the land has to offer and bring in new people, and the teams will develop. And it's through teams that we can work together to have all these things happening all over the place. I mean, in March, we were also in England with a bunch of leaders for the Go Church family of churches. Speaking of Go Church, if it wasn't enough, all that other stuff happening, in April, right around Easter Sunday, it was the 1-year anniversary of the church being pioneered in Beirut, Lebanon. And we had over 160 people present to celebrate the 1-year anniversary and the leadership transition to Matt and Julie Hadabah as senior pastors of that church, and 3 Lebanese couples who are there to support that church moving forward. And that was kind of the aim from the beginning, as we pioneered that with a team that then, should everything go as planned, then we would transition that leadership. And that's what happened in April. May was beautiful, 1040. 150 plus women coming together from, I think, 47 different churches for the big conference. The team that came over from overseas was from the U.S. and the U.K. I think there were 16 or so people involved in that ladies team, and with Julie Beamer and with Michelle Beamer leading that team, and with a number of others, Julie Hadaba and the team, and Lebanese team, all working together. They also ministered in all kinds of different outreaches to over 150 refugees, going and visiting homes and different things like that. That was May. Also in May, we hosted our first Experience Bible College Day with Pastor Joel Sims and who else did we have? We had Patrick and Dee Vanderveer that came over as well, and it was a great time of ministry and really just giving people a taste of that Bible college. And we were shocked. We had like 100 and some people come to it, out of which on the day about 20 people applied. Applications were kind of just opened up at that point. That was in May. And then in June, we had Tom and Kathy Tony came over, and we did our second Experience Bible College Day. And what was cool is the beautiful 1040 team had promoted to those 150 some women from 47 churches that this Experience Day in June was going to happen. And when it happened with an emphasis on being, raising up godly families and being trained. That the Bible college wasn't just about spiritual things in the sense of preachers, but it was also about something that should influence the entire family. Developing leaders for the church, but also leadership within the family, including ministering to kids. There were like 200 and some people there, including like 60 some children. A bunch of them gave their lives to the Lord. It was a powerful time. And it really set some things in place as to how the Bible college there is a different kind of Bible college. It's not just a theological seminary kind of thing for educating the mind, but it's about real, practical, useful training. July, we kind of took a breather and began to pivot and prepare for the launch of the Bible school and properly, and then also prepare for 20th anniversary of the national conference in Turkey, which this was our second year partnering with the guys on the ground with that. And there were 407 people that came from, I think, 21 different countries, to over 100 leaders from around the world and around the region. The majority of the people that came were from Turkish churches, and whole churches used it as their kind of their annual away day. It was like I think it was 5 days where we met, and there's something like 16 different sessions together. There was water baptism, children's ministry, youth ministry, times of worship. Pastor Rick Renner was one of the main guests. Tony Cook was there. There was a number of others speaking in the breakout sessions. Pastor Mark Hankins was there. We had incredible moves of the power of God in the evening times. And, the combination of those different ministry gifts, again, set something in place where we saw the demonstration of the Holy Spirit in one form, in one way, and then we saw and heard about the manifestation of the Spirit in the other, and teaching on the Holy Spirit throughout the whole week. It was something that set milestones in people's lives and church leaders' lives. It strengthened leaders. And think about this. This is just August. We actually had contemplated not doing these meetings because of the earthquake and the crisis being so devastating in the country. But what we found is this conference brought a refreshing and a joy and a unity in the body of Christ that because we had prayed about it, should we not do it? And we felt like we're supposed to still do it. And even just naturally speaking, people had given so much to Turkey, and we're like, it costs a lot of money to put this conference on. We'll need sponsorships. You, as Club 1040 partners, you sponsored 200 Turkish people at $200 a piece to be able to be a part of that. They wouldn't have been able to participate in any other way. And then some other partners raised some of the other sponsorship for some of the others. So think about that. And yet you came through in a big way, and that conference set milestones that really moved the Spirit-filled church especially to a whole nother place in the country, and really shook off some of the depression and the challenges of that year that had been so hard on them, and refueled so many for the future focus. And out of that has come where Tony Cook was asked to come to the, in Turkey, there's an annual gathering of all the Protestant churches in Turkey that are officially recognized. There's 188 of them. And he was asked to come and be the main speaker early in 2024. And there's been a number of books that have been translated to enable to facilitate that as well and kind of complement his visit, translated into Turkish. So that's August. Right after that, we went to Egypt. And I had forgot to say we were in Egypt in March. I mean, so think about that. All of these things, everything I'm talking about, this is like no small dreams. And you guys have made this a reality. None of this would happen without monthly partnership and people giving so generously to projects. When in March we set the pattern for building the new way forward and new team forward after kind of 11, 12 years of the Bible College being there in Egypt. And Rick and Tracy Martin were wanting to transition to new leadership, so we started that in March. In August, we finalized that transition, and the new country coordinators want us to be a little bit more careful from a security standpoint. A number of you know who they are, but they are the perfect fit for that, and Julie and myself have stepped back in as national directors to kind of help move that forward a little bit as well. And we're constantly meeting as a team throughout the year. Almost a monthly basis it has been throughout this year, meeting, setting up different boards in different places. There's so much that happens behind the scenes, and I know I've rattled on a little bit, but I want you to know that this year, more has happened in this last year than what's happened in a number of years before, and we know the Lord is saying more in 2024. So think about that. After Egypt, we then went to Lebanon with Tony Lisa Cook, and we had our final Experience Bible College Day in preparation for the launch of the Bible College in October. And that was a great time together. And then September, really, we got the planning approval for here, started laying foundations here in the U.S., and it was kind of the final push for the launch of the Bible College, which launched the first weekend in October, which also happened to be the weekend that war broke out in the country south of Lebanon. And think about that. We started the year in February with this major crisis in Turkey, and then in October with the launch, literally the same Bible school weekend. We went at the venue we have. There's not much of a phone signal. We went into the venue and had the Bible school sessions, and then kind of when we came out, we saw some news things, but we were so focused. By 4 or 5 o'clock that day, when we came out, we realized this is not like the normal kind of things that normally happen on the border of the two countries. This was something different, and that precipitated a continual assessment of our security environment throughout the next several weeks. And, embassies started to close things down, and airports started to close things down. And we were like, what should we do? We were prayerful. We took in counsel from the different consulates, the German consulate, the British consulate, the American embassy there as well. We have people that we connected with all those places. And then also just prayerful and making our own assessments of the environment, and having lived there and known what it's like there for a while, we determined we were not going to shut the Bible College down, and we released anyone that wanted. Any of the missionaries there could go back. If they wanted to go back, we released them. In fact, we told them if there was a disagreement between husband and wife, they had to go to the States for a while. We wanted to make sure they were in unity if they were to stay. Try to make it easy for everyone to go. And you know what happened is we continued to function in the Bible College, and where a number of others had left ministry-wise, the students and everybody saw the seriousness of this Bible College. This isn't just a sort of start and go if things get tough kind of thing. That this is a serious thing that we're planning here, and it made a huge impression on a number of them. So we navigated all of that, and then November, we tend to try to come. We were in the UK with our pastors advance. So we try to be in the US around Thanksgiving time or a little bit after most times. And we were here for Thanksgiving, and we had the biggest blessing for us personally. Talk about no small dreams in 2023. is our son Jonathan and his wife Michelle. They came to Thanksgiving meal looking like they're carrying a dish. Something had come hot out of the oven, and they opened it up, and it was this scan of our future grandchild. And so, yes, we're going to be grandparents. Woohoo! Excited for that for next year. So, there's so many other things. I went on for a long time, but I just wanted to kind of fill you in on some of the things that you have been a part of over this last year as we're in this last day of 2023. And also to share that it seems as though the Lord has said to us, and even this morning at church, Pastor said more in 2024 is something that, these slogans and phrases, that just makes sense. That rhymes, those would go together. But the Lord can say other things too. But for us, it's been in our heart a continuation of this multiplication, of ministries, teams, of leaders, of ministries, and of resources. And then we're seeing these teams continue to build. The Bible College continues to go strong. We have now about 50 scholarships that have come in towards our goal of 100 for the Bible College there, which is incredible. And we're expecting as we go into the new year, we're going to see more and more team development, leadership development. I haven't even mentioned the fact that we were in several other countries over this last year, some new countries we hadn't been to. We're praying and building relationships in a number of places. We're endeavoring to build teams, some things we just can't talk about in a public setting like Facebook Live. Then there's also, when I arrived, I do want to say this. I want to really draw attention to and honor Jonathan, our son, John Beamer. Because this project, as we went through the planning stages and as we got quotes and things, it was being priced out of our budget, out of that money that we had made for this project. And he said, even though his full-time job, working, busy doing all his other stuff, he said, listen, I will volunteer my time to project manage this job. And he has done a phenomenal job with it. So while I've been overseas, he and I have been working on it back and forth, but he's been doing the majority of the work. And then when I got here, I was able to help kind of with some of the decision making moving forward. I have a background in architecture. I did the planning side of it. And then he's obviously been working in construction and renovation for the last little while too. And together, it's been a fun project to work on together. But we're also doing it because we're investing in the future of Club 1040. So where I'm sat right here, where I'm stood here, this will be the main office space. And then there's we extended the building a little bit so that there's a little kitchenette for the office and the little bathroom space. And then there's a small apartment attached to it as well. So we just wanted to say thank you so much for all that you have done in 2023. And just also say, as we look forward to our 2030 goal, which is to see leaders trained, Bible colleges started, leaders trained, and church planting movements ignited all across those 22 countries, we have some exciting things to talk about as we go into 2024, building on what God has done in this year and moving into the next year. There'll be more, a continuation of that multiplication. God bless you. Thank you so much for spending time. I pray that you have a great time with family as you celebrate the New Year's Eve today. And as you go and maybe watch some extra football and stuff like that, have a lot of fun. Don't eat too much, but eat just enough to enjoy and have fun. And so we want to say from Julie and I, Club 1040, and all the team around the world, we want to say happy New Year. It's already started in places like the South Pacific and Australia and other places. And Happy New Year around the world. God bless.